Hello. Up to here, we've worked with paragraph, sentences, verbs, the definition, the different types of them, and so on. But today's topic is what a clause is. But firstly, let's start by defining it. In this case, we're going to define a finite clause. A finite clause is a group of words which forms a grammatical unit and which contains a subject and a finite verb. What's a finite? Well, in this case, remember that means a conjugated verb, and it is very important to mention. It forms a sentence, that is to say, it can be a simple sentence or part of a sentence, and often functions as a noun, an adjective, or adverb. Finite clauses can be nominal or noun clause, adjectival or relative, or adverbial. Today, we are going to focus on the first one, that is to say, on noun clauses. But first, what is a noun clause? Well, a noun clause performs the same job that a noun does in a sentence. It can serve as subject, as object, or complement. In the following example, the noun serves as an object of the sentence. Let's take into consideration the first example. It reads, I like Japan. So here the finite verb is like. And it's followed by an object, which is a noun, a proper noun, Japan in this case. And we know that it's an object because it answers the question what? What do I like? Well, I like Japan. Also, you can replace this object by the personal pronoun it or by the word something. This is a way to check if it is an object, a direct object in this case, or not. So, but in this case, this is an example of a simple sentence since it only contains one finite verb. In this case, verb, which is like. But on the other hand, we have the second example, which reads, I know that Japan has a very traditional culture. In this example, we have two different verbs. The first one is know, and the second one is has. So there are two conjugated verbs, two finite verbs. In this example, the subject is I, the main verb is know, and then there is a subordinate conjunction, which is that, a subject, another subject, and a finite verb, which is has. How do we know that this is a noun clause as object? Well, first it's an object because it has the main verb, which is know. But it's a noun clause because, again, it's answering the question what? What do I know? I know that Japan has a very traditional culture. So in this case, again, you can replace it by it or by something. But of course, this is not an example of a simple sentence. This is an example of a complex one. So, in general, noun clauses can be introduced by a WH or how, or the pure subordinating conjunction, which is that. Noun clauses are most commonly used as the following: as subjects, as objects, as subject complements, as objects of a preposition, or as adjective complements. Let's start by the first one, that is to say, as subject. Well, as the word reads, it serves this noun clause serves as the subject of the sentence. Let's read the first example. That Japanese women are raised differently is not surprising. So, in this case, the nominal clause is before the main verb, which is, the main copular verb is, or the linking verb is. So, is the subject of the sentence. Again, how do you check if it is a nominal clause? Because you have a subject, phrasal verb there are raised, which is conjugated, is a dependent clause, and you can replace it by something. So you can say it is not surprising. What? that Japanese women are raised differently. So the second example, well, the same occurs with what, or, well, you can start this subject with a WH. If it is a noun clause with WH word, it can serve, again, as subject of a sentence, but careful, because the word order is not the one that we use the question, that is to say, we don't use the question word order, that is to say, using the auxiliary verbs, but we are going to use the statement order. Then we are going to see some examples. The same occurs with yes, no questions. We are going to use if or whether instead of using do, does, or whatever. Let's go on with as objects. So here in this example, you can read Deborah follows things that times are changing for Japanese women. Again, there is a subject, a main verb, which is things, and after that, a pure subordinated conjunction, a subject again, and another conjugated verb. Deborah follows things, something, things, eat. So what does she think? She thinks that blah, blah, blah. So you're answering, again, the question what. That's the way to check. Subject complements. So in this case, is subject complement because it's after the verb to be. And let's remember that the verb to be is a linking verb. That is to say, a copular verb. Like, for example, seem or appear. The subject complement in this case completes the meaning of the subject by telling us something about the subject. For example, in this case, the truth is that women are raised differently from men. So if I end my idea there, the truth is, the idea doesn't have sense. So that's the reason why I need a complement to complete the subject. So in this case, the difference between object and subject complement is the verb. In this case, the verb, it has to be copular or linking. The fourth category is as object of a preposition. Quite the same, but take into consideration, and in this case, for example, her father asked her about how she would pay for lessons. So in this case, the noun clause is introduced by a WH word in general. So, and are used as object of a preposition in a sentence. In this case, the preposition is about. So you have her father asked her about, and then about it, about something. So you have the WH, she, well, the subject, and the finite verb again. And last but not least, as adjective complement, people are surprised that males and females are still raised differently. So people are surprised. In this case, surprise, you know that is an adjective. So it's completing the adjective. So in this case, it's completing the meaning of that adjective. So it's complementing it. So we are using this noun clause after an adjective. So in this case, we are going to use, generally speaking, a that clause. Finally, it's important to mention the use of clef sentences. In this case, we are going to focus on anticipatory it. We are going to use this anticipatory it or anticipatory phrase in the subject position when we want this noun clause or our noun clause to be less formal. So in this case, we are going to place this it in the subject position and move the noun clause to the end of the sentence. Let's take the first example into consideration. That Japanese women are raised differently is not surprising. In this case, again, the noun clause is a subject because it's before the main verb, so it's part of the subject. But let's take into consideration the second one with the anticipatory it. It is not surprising that Japanese women are raised differently. So in this case, the noun clause is at the very end of the sentence and is less formal. However, it can replace an if or a whether or a WH word noun clause only when you add the following type of phrase to the beginning of the sentence. That is to say, the subject it, plus be plus an adjective, for example, evident, obvious, clear. And there you have an example. What the modern Japanese woman wants is still unknown. Here you have an example, as I told you before, as with a WH word as subject. Remember that you can use a that clause, a what clause, or whatever, or a WH word. So something is still unknown. So you can say it isn't clear what the modern Japanese woman wants. So in this case, this it phrase, by using this it phrase, you're going to move the noun clause to the very end of a sentence. So in this case, it's just to form a less formal sentence. Well, up to here, we are going to work with noun clauses. Then we are going to keep on working with, of course, relative clauses and adverbial clauses, but, well, we are going to see those topics next lesson. So thanks for watching, and if you have any doubt, of course, you can ask me. Thanks.